guys, T2RX6 here, back for another Transformers review. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Toys-R-Us exclusive Masterpiece Thundercracker. But before I get to him, let's have a little PSA. If you're like me, you really like the Masterpiece figures, and maybe you saw that this Rodimus's price is coming down and, you know, he's getting affordable. Well, I'm here to tell you, don't do it. Unless you just want to keep him on his shelf in his robot mode. Because actually, upon the first time I tried to transform him, his little teal rings here just kind of like exploded on themselves. You can't really see it on this one too well. You kind of see it. This one here is way worse. And yeah, I mean, it just flat out, the moment that you grip it from here and try to move it, the first click, everything just like crumbled apart and came off. So yeah, currently this guy is waiting for some Toys-R-Us Hasbro version Rodimus knees that are going to be replacements, and they won't look as good because you're going to see some orange. I'm going to paint the rest black, but yeah, that was really disappointing for a relatively expensive figure to, you know, blow apart like that, considering that I do know how to transform this guy because I have had 3 different versions of him. So yeah, watch out if you decide to get this guy, because this teal plastic is just not very strong. It doesn't seem like it's affected for the arms and stuff, but those knee joints are just way too tight there. So anyway, enough about that one. Let's get on to Thundercracker. But before we do him, let's look at this box. And this is the standard new, you know, Masterpiece style box that seems to come out. It says Masterpiece Thundercracker. And the only reason I'm really showing you this box is because I find it interesting. He says it claims it has the display, swing open nose, adjustable thrust vector, opening canopy, the missile pods, blah blah blah. 2 different heads. So knowing that this was the one that took the new Starscream MP-11 head, I was confused about this because I didn't think that had a extra head. And so I promptly opened up the instructions here to take a look, see what they're talking about. Now this says Masterpiece Thundercracker, and it does show a line art version of what we get. And as you unfold this stuff and you start looking at it, step 1 says, you know, when you're going for robot to vehicle, remove the null rays. Well, these null rays are on that type of assembly. And then if you keep looking through, that's the old style legs. It doesn't show anything about the back. In fact, it still has the awful skirt panels. And yeah, it's not telling anything about MP-11. And when we look at the change head gimmick, we look and see that that is the old style Starscream head. So this one little tiny piece of the instructions is updated, and everything else is actually for the MP, what was it, 4 Starscream? So yeah, that's kind of weird. So I don't know, hopefully nobody ends up breaking it. Now you do have, you know, the stuff they talked about, like the opening nose cone and the thrusters that move. You still have access to the engines inside, except they look a little different than every other version we've seen, because they actually assist his foot in standing, which is a dramatic improvement. Taking a look here, you have D24, which I would suspect has something to do with their release order in Japan. I'm not sure. What I don't know is Captain J. Dragon Sass is listed as one of the pilots or co-pilots. And then we have Joe Big Daddy Kide. I have no idea who that's referencing. If anyone knows, feel free to post that. And on the back you've got a super well hidden robot, Thundercracker, holding a sound wave with the word Sonic Boom. Robot in disguise indeed. you get, instead of the Dr. Arkaville this time, you get and it's going to be probably really hard to get this to focus just because of the chrome, but it's a little pilot, and I really like that. I kind of wish it wasn't chrome, but oh well. And that's the Starscream version. He was more like a hologram type thing. Now, there are some differences here in the jet modes. I have my modified Starscream here just to kind of show you the big change that makes this is a more accurate jet because of the fuel tanks basically on the side here, whereas the lines of the new Thundercracker or Starscream do away with that. So, you know, this one's more accurate in jet, but, you know, for the most part, I don't think anyone's going to really complain about this particular one. Yeah, that's pretty much, I think, all we have to say about the jet mode here. So we might as well go and take this to actually getting it to its robot mode. Oh, nope, there is one more thing I wanted to point out. This one does come with the display stand, and one thing you'll notice is different is if you look at this chest piece, there's no notch here. Now, if you look at our Masterpiece Starscream again, you can see there is a notch there. So I understand why this stand went away on the Japanese releases. This notch is actually to accommodate the little tab in the stand here, and then it allows them to go on really easy. This re-engineered version does not go on very easy. It still is doable. Let me tuck all this landing gear away because we're gonna be transforming them anyway. It goes on, but you have to kind of take that clip and press it on in first, and then with a little bit of messing around with it, you'll actually get it to clip on in. So because of that re-engineered, it doesn't fit on the stand as nice or as easy as the other ones, but it still works. And you still get these missiles, of course, but these are harder to find things to do with than they were previously. Since these are on a ball joint, you can pop them off if you want. Just a ball joint, and then you can put on your missiles if you prefer that look. Or I guess alternatively, you can plug these on in, and since these are on this ball joint hinge system, you can just kind of put them anywhere that you think looks kind of cool, but really doesn't make sense to have the missiles on top of this laser rifle thing. So yeah, you have these, but they're a little bit harder to work with previously. And generally, I find that the upgrades to this guy are all improvements, but there are some things on here that are a little bit more difficult to deal with than they were on the older Starscream mold, which, from my understanding, aside from the head, this is the original way that they had intended to engineer this toy, and I think they probably changed it to what we had with that Starscream because of how difficult it is. Going back from robot mode to jet mode, pegging in these wings properly and getting these hands in place and these little side skirts is a little more difficult than it is on the Masterpiece Starscream. Everything just kind of plugs in there. But that's enough talking about the jet mode here. Let's actually get to transforming him. And you can see these, just like the old one, are just slotted on in and fall off. So we'll start by folding these on up, just get them out of the way, and we will. I always have trouble figuring out where I want to start with this. We'll unpeg both these null rays, and then let's get this wing assembly out of the way. Oh yeah, you also have the air brake here too, that has stayed in the context of this mold. So you just kind of have to unpeg this, and I'll show you here why this is a little more difficult. We'll fold the flaps in just so I don't break them off in the progress of trying to work with them. what's holding me up is how all this stuff pegs into the wings. So right now I'm just trying to remove these pegs here. And you can see how you have this tab and this tab down here. That all pegs into the wings to make the assembly lock, which definitely makes it a little bit harder to work with this guy. Okay, so we got that. So we're gonna take this and get it past this little assembly, and we'll just flip them up and just get them out of the way. You're gonna find your null rays are probably gonna fall off a lot while you're working on these. It happens. Nothing you can do about it, really. There we go. The other nice thing I like about this is that they added this little tab here and a slot here, which makes these wings peg onto the back really nicely. I do like that. Alright, so now we got this apart. Let's go ahead and work on the legs. You pull them out, split them apart, you know, just like the regular one. Open these on up though, and then we just have to get in here and flip these down. And these are by far the best improvements that they could have with this mold. And that gives him that back heel support, and now he does not need his stand. On the front here, we have this, which is dramatically easier to open than the old Starscream mold. And then you're just going to take them and flip them around. And now you have really solid feet. And the last thing you have to do is just move these on up, which if you have the iGear version of these, or of the Seekers, or the Coneheads I should say, well, they had Seekers too. If you have that, this swivel or slide mechanism is way better than iGear's version, which is why I say Hasbro, if you release the Coneheads, they would be sold. Even to people who still have the iGear version would probably buy them. Anyway, so now we have that, we can kind of free up the arm assemblies here and move everything into their respective positions. You just kind of fold the shoulder over, fold the shoulder over. Let's get this on up. So you fold it over like this. You're going to take your null rays now and adjust them around, and everything's going to kind of fold in on itself. Swivel it, fold it in on itself. Fold out his arms, fold out his hands. There we go. And you know, you're seeing that this is all very similar. We're gonna take this apart and bring it over to form his chest. And then we got to open this back piece here. Now you can leave your pilot in, but I've had him get stuck on my Starscream mold before, so I don't. Split this cockpit, take your pilot out, and then rotate this on up and close it. And then you're just going to... This head is an awesome new head, but it does get caught very easily on itself and makes transforming it to and from jet mode really a little bit difficult. Going back is a little easier than coming forward. I'll show you why in a second. Well, let's do it now. Okay, so you have this head here, and it's got these springy earpieces, and when you go back here, he does not fit into the hole properly. So what you have to do, and it takes some work sometimes, is you gotta squeeze it, and you gotta kind of push it on through, and it may take a couple positions to get it so you can actually pull it on through. And the same goes for when you're coming back to his jet mode, you kind of, or his vehicle, his robot mode, you kind of have to squeeze him a little and push him on through. Hopefully in a close-up I can show you that there is, actually you can probably see it right there, there is some paint wear on his head because of how the gimmick works, but it's not that bad, I guess. So anyway, we've got him partially transformed. Let's finish this thing. So we take this and you bring it on out And if your chest pieces are out of the way, everything will slide on through. Just like that. You can bring these his chest piece down. I forgot all about that. So that'll come through. We can get to the back. Now you can really have these wings plugged in and they shouldn't get in your way too much more. Take this, drop the nose cone assembly, make sure that it plugs in like this. And everything should be pretty much ready for us to kind of clean up the front. And now, just slide it. Whoops. It's Midget Thundercracker. That's pretty funny. I've never had that happen while I was transforming it before. There we go. That's proper. Though I gotta say, I kinda dig Midget Thundercracker. He may go on my shelf like that at some point. We will see. So there you go. Now we've got Thundercracker properly transformed here. And you know, it's the Seeker mold still. There's not much that's changed. You can still angle these forward if you prefer to have them forward or back. I just keep them back. I don't think it makes a big difference. Yeah, it's the Seeker mold. He's got the better null ray, so when he moves his arms, you know, they kind of can move independent and be angled a little bit better. Makes his arms a whole lot less weird looking. And actually, this whole... He's kind of got, the old one had Popeye arm syndrome. I have Skywarp hanging around here because he's the best one to show you. Now this will also show you my insanity. There's Skywarp, and you can see the big chunky thick arms because of the gas canister, the gas containers on the jet really bulk up the arm, and that's been removed here. You also have these awful skirts, which means that Skywarp has to be on his stand or he's not going to be standing anywhere. As well as the null rays pegged on the arms much more differently. What you don't notice about my Skywarp is that he's got the new head. Because I like this mold a lot, and I am kind of annoyed that I like this mold a lot. Because it's convinced me to go ahead and pick up a Masterpiece Starscream from Takara. And so yeah, I'll have this, and then I was looking at Skywarp and he's just sitting on the shelf with his little old school head, which looked pretty sad comparatively. So I bought a second Masterpiece Thundercracker and took his head. So I'm probably going to end up modifying my Skywarp so he can stand without his stand. And the head will fit in the alt mode. It'll fit right on the ball joint, no problem. But for alt mode, you do have to kind of Dremel some stuff out if you want it to fit. So that's really Masterpiece Thundercracker here. I'll take some pictures at the end with the cone heads and such, just in their alt mode or their robot mode, because I don't think that we really need to take all of the jet modes. They take up way too much space to take them all. So this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, and I will see you next week.